So for today, we're gonna do a little refresher on fractions. And I wanted to start off a little bit with the language and kind of like the basics. So if I had the fraction 1/3, this would be your numerator. And this would be your denominator. So when you hear me talk about denominator, numerator, you know what that is. So let's say I have a pie and it's split into 4s. There's 4 pieces that make the whole pie. So that number will always be at the bottom. Let's say that I eat one of the pieces and I'm asking you what fraction did I eat? You count. So I ate 1 of the 4ths. So your fraction would be 1/4. Let's say I ask you for what is left. So you count 1, 2, 3. So you're gonna say she ate, or there's 3/4 left. Does that make sense? So I also want to point out that if you have the same number at the top and the bottom, that automatically is going to equal a whole, because this is how many you need to make a whole, and that is exactly the same number that you have to make the whole. So let's get into addition. So let's say you have 2/8 plus 5/8. So you would just add across. For the denominator, however, because we have the same number, you are going to just move it over. So it stays an 8. For these, we can just add. So 5 plus 2 is 7. 7/8 would be your answer. Not always do we have the same denominator. So let's say you have 2/7 plus 5 plus 3/5. Because we don't have the same denominator, we're going to have to do something called the bow tie method, which is just multiplying across. So you multiply 5 by 2 and 7 by 3. 5 by 2 is 10, so let's make a note up here to keep track of things. And then 7 times 3 is 21. You add 21 and 10, and that's what gives you your numerator. So this would be 31. So in order to get your denominator, we're going to multiply 7 by 5. So you multiply the denominators across. So 7 by 5 is 35. And this would be your final answer. So for subtraction, we would do, let's say we have 7 minus 7/5 minus 3/5. So we have the same denominator, so we would just move that one over, right? And so then we subtract 7, 6, 5, 4. So we would have 4/5, and that would be your answer. If we have different denominators, we would just do the same bow tie method that we did for subtraction. Instead, for addition, instead you would subtract. So if we get into multiplying, let's say I have 14, 15 multiplied by 5/6. So for multiplication, you would just multiply across. So you would do this. So 14 times 5 is 70, and 15 times 6 is 90. So most of the time, they will ask you to simplify or reduce the fraction. So I know that 10 goes both into 70 and to 90, and it is also the biggest number that goes into both of them. So I know that 10 goes into 70 7 times. So 10 goes into 70 7 times, and 10 goes into 90 times, and that would be your most reduced fraction that you can do. So let's say for division, this is the way you would do it. Let's say you have 3/5 divided by 2/3. Now we don't know why, but they ask us to flip this too. So now this equation would become 3/5 divided by 3/2. So that is the new fraction, the new problem that we're working with. Now after you flip them, you're now gonna multiply. So you're gonna multiply 5 times 2 and 3 times 3. So 3 times 3 is 9, and 5 times 2 is 10. And that's the way we would do division. Thank you for watching.